kind of like that. And then take your marking gauge, half, and then you just mark wherever you've marked with pencil. Like that. So what I'm doing now is I'm just drilling pilot holes so that the screws don't break the wood. Because that's one issue that you can have a lot when woodworking. So you just go to where you marked with the marking gauge and make sure you go all the way through. So on this workbench, I am lucky enough to have these holes for bits like this, which are bench clamps. But for people who don't have that luxury, because I don't at home, you can literally just lean it off a table like this if you have a bench vise or a bench clamp or something. Good grip strength or even a C-clamp, but you will not get the perfect lineup. I'm just using some 120 to clean up the burrs on the back. Clean up the burrs on the back, just so that it sits flush with whatever I'm trying to screw it into, and also it will help remove any pencil markings. So we're back from lunch now. So what I'm going to do is oil one of the bracers. So this just means that we're protecting the wood and giving it back the natural oils that it usually would, which would mean that it is stronger and also more weather resistant. So it'll have less chance at being damaged from the likes of, let's say, water. Before we went to lunch, I oiled up the other bracer so that we could actually see what the grain would look like after it all soaked in, which, in my opinion, the oak here looks really good and it contrasts well with the pine that I had to use to actually attach them to focus on the miter so that there is not a stress point, as you can see. What I'm using at the moment is just a brush that you'd usually use for like turkeys and stuff, you know, based in that, and a little bit of linseed oil. You don't need a lot, just a little, especially as the brush will soak up quite a bit, and as you can see, it just goes on like butter. So next thing that I have to do is I have to use a countersink bit to get these little divots so that the screws can sit flush when it's actually like mounted to a wall, because it's just easier and it means that there'll be less of a stress point on the wood, so it won't be as likely to split. Cameraman Vinny has went home, so I've just made a tripod that I can clamp into the vise. Just oiling up the shelf bit so that I can put it together without like having a dry spot underneath the wood where the brackets are held in, because this way the wood's protected. So now what I have to do is I have to screw these on. So just using some screws and using the pilot holes that I drilled in before, I can now mark where these are gonna go, just by not screwing them in all the way. And then, well, here there are holes from previously drilling them in, so I can just use them, and then it will I'm gonna have to remake this one because I didn't realize how deep these cracks really were in the wood. So now all up here has basically snapped off. Can't really show you very well, but you can see how deep the cracks are. So I'm gonna just quickly remake this one. Anyway, as that other one's drying, I'll show you on this side. Now, I'm now just gonna drive them in with this, and then I'm going to go grab a hand screwdriver and tighten them in the rest of the way, because I don't want to repeat what happened with the other side. So I'm going to turn it up to 10. There, it's driven in to a certain point. I'm going to quickly go grab a hand screwdriver. And because I know I'll need it later, I'm going to take the rose bit as well. Same bit. There we go. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell for consistent uploads every Sunday, 5 PM. This has been Firebird R&R, signing out.